Happy St. Patrick's Day!
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this live show.
Hey, it's St. Patty's Day, and look at the set. Look at what Brandon and Candace have done to the set today. Green suspenders, green table. Look at the back here. Like, Trolga's wearing a green hat. Oh, what's that?
Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious.
I actually, this morning, because we bought all this stuff yesterday, but I woke up this morning and I realized I forgot Lucky Charms.
How can you forget Lucky Charms?
I know.
Did you get, what's that at McDonald's, the green milkshakes?
The Shamrock Shake.
I wonder if they have the Shamrock Shakes this year. I don't know. But I'm rocking the green tie. I got Celtic knots on, to celebrate St. Patty's Day, right? It's a cool way, a cool thing, right?
I agree.
So, what's going on today?
Ooh, we have a very thought-provoking show.
We do.
We don't have a lot of topics, but we have a lot of topics that are deep.
They're deep.
They're deep topics. We're actually going to be hopefully engaging with all of you throughout the show a lot because, there's a lot of things to go over.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. And I think, although we don't have a lot of topics to talk about, the ones that we're going to talk about are really important from more of a digital literacy, critical thinking standpoint, right? Yeah. So, which is really, really, really interesting, right? So where do we go from here?
Well, we have a couple things that we're going to be talking about. So let's take a look here. We got...
Ooh. Let's see what we're doing here. We're just about to go here. We're doing just a couple of things.
Just want to quickly bring to everyone's attention that, again, we want to engage and talk with all of you. Mm-hmm. So by means, in the chat box below, Twitter, direct message us on Instagram or Facebook. We would love to hear your comments, your thoughts on the things we're going to talk about today.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
Right? Hit that subscribe button. Let's grow this YouTube channel. That's our plan, is to grow it. And like we've been saying, we're kind of doing it once a month. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll move to once a week. And
if we get popular, we would love to be here once a week talking to you about the news and the new events. But right now we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, and it's YouTube. It's all about you, right? And having you participate in what it is that we're going to be doing today.
Indeed.
So why don't we get going?
All right, first segment of the day, which is our usual segment, which is the White Hatter Update. So we're just going to give you some information, what's new with us, things we've come across, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the first thing we want to talk about and acknowledge is one of our new members. Cal, actually.
Great guy.
Oh, yes. Cal is presenting a lot of our leveraging programs.
Yes.
Teaching individual students how to use social media in a positive way to get into a college or a university or a job of the future.
He is a comedian, right? He comes from a law enforcement background. He's a retired staff sergeant with Delta, and he worked with kids. That's what he loved doing in their community policing division there. And he's really taking on, with Shannon, the whole leveraging. Because we think that that's actually the next step when it comes to social media and getting young people and even adults how to leverage their social media to get into college, university, or even jobs. And Cal and Shannon are doing a really good job. So big shout out to Cal out there. The feedback we've heard in social media has been really good in what it is that he did. So keep up the good work, Cal.
He does watch the live show.
He does. There's some talk. He's thinking about maybe teaching the elementary programs. He might be starting to mow your grass a little bit.
I'm okay with that. We are so busy.
We are. We're really busy.
This is kind of like spring break for some schools, and which is, gives us a little time to relax. You are traveling tomorrow.
I'm flying down to the U.S. for 3 days with Beth. We got 5 presentations down in Washington State that we're doing.
Wow.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
But great to have Cal on board, as well as Shannon and a couple of others. Julia, Wonder Woman, right? Yeah. She likes to be called, is now on the team as well. Hervé. We got a whole great team going.
We have a lot of big plans for the future.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
So what else we got going on here?
Let's get into, we wrote a blog post earlier this month talking about a particular phenomena that was, it kind of blew up like a firestorm.
Yeah, when it really
online.
Where it didn't need to be, right?
It didn't need to be.
It was parent driven, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the Momo Challenge. The Momo Challenge. So we actually wrote a blog on this.
We did.
Pretty much the second day.
It's because we were being inundated with calls from schools and emails and messages from schools and teachers and parents about this, right?
Yeah.
And so we thought it was important to put out information that was fact-based, right?
Yeah.
Because we saw some other notifications going out as well that just really didn't cover in detail, and the fact that it was fake, right? But you can talk more about that.
Yeah, so basically we started to see the Momo Challenge kind of grow online, being shared probably about 2 days before it really hit the major news media.
Yeah, we actually saw it about a week before, actually, because I had a message from a parent.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah.
So we saw this happening, and we're like, this has happened once before. The Momo Challenge was nothing new. We saw it before. It went on media and then kind of died down a bit.
It's been around for about a year and a half.
Yeah, but when this happened, we really, early in the week, we did see a lot more shares online about a lot of parents, some educators and such, kind of going online, sharing with individuals, be afraid, be worried about this particular challenge.
Yeah, it was big time, really being pushed that people, killing themselves and self-harming themselves over it, right? So, when in fact we know that's not true.
It's not, because a lot of posts that we saw being shared online was talking about cases where individuals either harm themselves or worse because of certain videos that they saw online that popped up randomly.
Right, and there were some really good news organizations like the Washington Post and New York Times that did some really good, and a shout out to them and the journalistic investigations that they did, where they looked into all that, and they couldn't find one reliable case where a young person, as a result of the actual Momo Challenge, seriously injured themselves or took their life.
Yeah, there were a few fringe news reports.
Yeah, fringe is a good word.
That weren't really, they were out there, and that they made an association because a young individual may have gone online and seen a video, and they looked through their history, but in that report, they also were saying that there were other disturbing things, not just this one video prior to the events happening.
And I know you're going to talk about what some research we did with the kids ourselves, but the other thing that was interesting is that when this thing started to hit, it was amazing how many messages I was getting on Facebook from teens at high schools and middle schools laughing at the adults over this, right? They couldn't believe that the adults were hooked, line, and sinker bought into this thing, right? Now, having said that, and the reason is the kids at those ages, they're critical thinking, right? Like they knew, a lot of them knew it as a meme and stuff, and for what it was. But the problem was for the younger kids, right? When we're talking about kids are in, K, 1, 2, 3, 4 and younger, like it or not, Momo, the character, and what was being done can be very scary and very disturbing. There's no doubt about it.
I'm not saying like the content was disturbing, but clearly it was disturbing. But I think people thinking this content was as prevalent wasn't accurate.
So, for kids, especially the younger ones that were maybe, having suicidal ideations, could it have been a trigger? Maybe, because it was concerning. But this is why it was so important for parents to get the real information. Because the deal with this, it's all about sitting down with your kids and talking to them about it, right? Because, and you'll talk more about how this came about. I think that's a good segue.
I think, so when these news reports were going online, we thought, you know what, let's ask our audience.
And why? Because we have thousands of people that follow us.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you follow us on Instagram, if you don't, please do it. Yeah. We love posting polls on Instagrams to get feedback from our followers. And
not
the majority,
necessarily scientific.
No, but it gives us a good sort of, a good idea about what is happening.
For sure.
So what we did is we asked this question to all our followers, which are generally younger individuals. They're not adults who generally follow us on Instagram.
And big shout out to all of them, because it was because of you guys that were able to do this, right?
So we asked this question. We asked our followers, have you heard of the Momo Challenge on Instagram? We had 680 people respond to our poll.
Pretty good number.
About
Pretty good number.
64% of them said yes, they had heard of this challenge. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what we asked on the next question was,
have
Brent. You seen any Momo videos?
This is Brand's academia.
And again, we had 637 people respond to this, and 77% of individuals who responded to our survey said no, they had not seen any Momo video. We had about 147 people say yes. And what did I do? I asked every single one of those people in a direct message who said yes.
And before you go on, like Instagram, our Instagram account was having problems, right? Because you were asking all the, and they're pinging us back, right? It's like unbelievable. It was great.
Instagram, Instagram as an app and messaging is not necessarily a good app. There were during that couple-hour period, we had a lot of technical issues with Instagram because it could not handle the amount of messages that we were getting from these 147 people.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, right?
So we asked each person who said yes to this was, you know what? Okay, tell us about it. How did you come across it? Was it a video that popped up randomly, or did you intentionally search for the video? And majority of these people, the majority of people
surprise.
who had, when we asked them, here's what they said. They basically said, you know what? I searched it because I heard about it at school or on the media.
Yeah, so there's a really good example how the parent juvenile of spreading this actually fanned the flames in the media, which caused the kids to purposely go out and search for it.
I know, and here's the thing, and most of the videos are like the one you would see like right there, right? Like that video is someone else on YouTube intentionally searching up a Momo video and reacting to it.
Right. I mean, there were a couple of videos that were reported online, but again, they were very hard to prove, right?
And of the people we asked, there was only a couple who said, you know what, I came across a Momo video by accident or randomly appeared. And then what we did we asked them, okay, can you give us a screenshot or the link of the video in your history on your device?
Yeah.
And not a single one of those people, they said, oh, the link was deleted or there was no history. And from a technical standpoint, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So those responses were less credible.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't be proven that here's the link I saw.
And now we're not saying that there wasn't an original one somewhere.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
We're not saying that.
Of course,
but
this came from somewhere.
Yeah.
And someone somewhere turned it into something very undesirable.
Right. And I mean, I think another part of this too was the clickbait it was producing by media, right? Because like it or not, metrics rule the internet. And if you want people to go to your website, what better way to do than this and create clickbait? Because every time you go to a news organization's website, they could potentially be making cents on the dollar, right? I mean, so there were a variety of different reasons. But I mean, I guess the moral of the story is that, you know, before we start talking, we're going to talk about this a little bit further about critical thinking on some of the other issues that we have in this show. But, you know, as parents, we need to be alive to this stuff, and we really need to start to do our research and not necessarily believe that everything we're reading online is true.
Yeah. And again, it's most of the students, the ones that we interacted with, they looked it up. So a parent might have seen a child of theirs looking up this video and then they were freaking out, not realizing the reason why they're looking it up because they didn't know about it and they wanted to learn about it and watch someone else online reacting to it.
And again, we're not saying that there wasn't a concern, because it could be very troubling, especially to the younger kids, right? Like there's no doubt about it, especially some of the things that were being posted by other people who were trolling it and stuff that could cause these young people potentially to do something really bad. But the rate was like nowhere near the academic or the epidemic that a lot of people thought it was. So, you know, again, sitting down with your kids, understanding the truth, and you know, one of the best places I can recommend to parent is Snopes.com, right? It's a really good place to start doing some fact checking. Snopes.com is a really good example of where you can go online to kind of start your research. Right? Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, some really good numbers from the teens and preteens that followed us. So again, big thank you to all of them for participating in those, because it really helps to shed a light on their perspective, right? Because I think in this world, sometimes we adults don't look to the kids for guidance and their expertise, because they have a lot of insight into this stuff. We just need to be able to pay attention as adults and give them the opportunity. Yeah,
they are credible in their responses to what's happening.
For sure, right?
Another update for us. We just want to bring it to everyone's attention again. We, in 2019, we're doing another White Hatter Scholarship. We did one last year.
We did.
And we handed out a scholarship, $1,000.
Yeah, made by him only one Burke, right? But still $1,000, right? So.
Anyway, so it's still live. So any grade 12 student who has seen a White Hatter presentation at their school can apply for the scholarship if they're going into something in like the trades, technology, even in arts. And basically there's a prompt, there's a little essay, which is pretty much talking about how can you use social media to leverage your way into a college, a university, or a job that interests you.
Yeah, and we gave our first one last year, and who did we give it to again?
We gave it to Kevin Lee right there.
There's Kevin.
The prompt last year was, what are some of the issues with Internet of Things?
And he wrote a really good essay.
Yeah, and actually we'll
it's really
talk
good.
about some Internet of Things concerns that, kind of reflect what was said in there from some things we came across earlier this month.
And what's the topic this year?
This topic this year is, again, it's how do you leverage social media to get into a job at university?
Nice segue back to Cal, right?
Yes.
Because that's what Cal's doing. Cal's talking about that very issue. Because we think that this is the next evolution or step when it comes to digital literacy, right?
It is. It's becoming. Security is important.
It is.
It's critically
For
important.
sure.
But using your technology in ways that benefits you is becoming more important.
For sure, and leveraging it to our advantage,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's what that program is all
Yeah.
about with Cal and Shannon. Yeah,
Anyways,
for sure.
Next segment is our In the News segment. Every time you do that. This segment, we're just going to talk about some news stories that came up in the news that we're just going to address, talk about, just to clarify a couple things. And the first topic, it's kind of the most prominent news story
And
happening.
we have a heartfelt, thoughts.
Yeah. You've probably seen this on social media and in the news in regards
just horrible.
to the acts of violence in New Zealand.
Oh, just unbelievable, right? So what happened there? But it was interesting to see how the shooter, whose name I will not use, and we will not show any video or pictures of him because we don't want to continue on with what he wanted to do. But it was interesting to see how he planned this out, including weaponizing social media on a variety of different platforms so that he could use it to help spread his message, because he knew and how he did it and the tactics and the strategy he used allowed it to just flood around the world very quickly using social media.
Yeah.
And especially the fact that he went live. It's reported that he had a live webcam that he was wearing, so as he was going and doing what it is that he did, and again, I'm not going to use his name, we're not going to talk about it much about what he did, but it was going live, and it was apparently on Facebook for 17 minutes before they were finally able to get it down. But once it was posted, people were now copying it and then putting it on all these other platforms.
Yeah, I think the biggest discussion right now happening kind of in the public sphere is this whole idea of monitoring or filtering social media content.
Right.
And what that means and the consequences of that.
Or, another topic, because we've been interviewed for this a couple of times, is, traditional media. When I say traditional media, like CTV News and, the other cable news networks, they have a kill switch, right? A 30-second delay, where as they're recording and it's going, there's a 30 seconds, so if something happens, they can push a button and kill it. And there's some talk now that maybe social media should be looking to do that, but how is that possible? It's a good, nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
We know that Facebook and some of the others were using artificial intelligence and human monitoring as well, but it didn't even catch us. It was up for 17 minutes. And, to be realistic, in order to, because one can only imagine how many live feeds are going on in places like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
this
Twitch.
is just one live feed right now.
I don't think there's enough humans in the world to monitor what's going on. And the AI right now just can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's getting better for sure. So, but the flip side of the coin are those people who are also talking about, well, if they were to do that, that's kind of like Big Brother watching us as well, right? Like I thought the internet was all about being able to put things out there for people to see and to make decisions, but it's all about balance. And this is a really good example where this is like far, far, far right, if not black, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just unbelievable what this guy did.
Yeah.
Well, so what are your thoughts on this whole issue of monitoring, or where do you think the balance should be between the right to say what it is I want to say and do online in the internet because nobody owns it, compared to preventing and filtering?
It's difficult because if organizations, platforms like YouTube and other social media entities like Facebook, if they do decide to, well, it won't happen, but if they do decide to either before you can post videos or go live, you have to be verified as a
That's a good idea.
As a
recognized person,
legitimate broadcaster.
So it prevents somebody like this who's a one-off just going on and doing what it is he did.
But on the flip side is then how do those one-offs then become popular?
Yeah.
Right? Because right now, I mean, YouTube right now already has the issue of it's going more corporate, and you're seeing a lot more corporate accounts posting more like segments from TV shows, late night shows, and those are becoming more popular. So there's a big pushback right now from the YouTube creator world to push back against these corporatization of content, where it used to be for average.
And look how live video is being used in countries around the world to show atrocities, right?
Exactly.
Where it's being used against governments that are very repressive in nature,
Yeah.
and they're using live streaming to get that message out to the world, to put public and world pressure on those governments. So it's such a quagmire. It really is. But what happened right now in New Zealand. I mean, I can't say enough how we want people to stop like forwarding the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
And reposting it, and even mentioning this guy's name and posting his picture. Let's not give this guy any more attention, because that was his goal in using the social media, was to attract attention. He was quite successful in how we weaponized it, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting discussion, right? I don't think there's any easy answers on this. It's c'est la vie, such is life, and especially when it comes to online world, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Again, our as the White Hatter team, our families and our company's hearts go out to the families and friends and even the country of New Zealand for what happened there. Our thoughts are with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What else we got going?
Another news story that kind of spread decently across the internet, at least in the security world, was in regards to this article of a teen becoming one of the first young individuals to earn $1 million as a bug bounty hacker.
$1 million.
So for those of you who don't know what a bug bounty hacker is that we've talked about before in previous shows, where there are some organizations like Facebook, YouTube, like those big companies, because they have such very valuable platforms, what they will do is they will post to the world going, hey, if there's any hacker out there, a white hat hacker, a good hacker, and if they find any issues with a platform and they report that issue to the platform administrators, so report it to Facebook, don't make it public, report it to Facebook so Facebook can then fix the issue, you will then be rewarded, but with some monetary value, depending on how severe the flaw you found. So there are some people whose jobs they're basically kind of self-employed, but what they do is they will go to these organizations that have these programs, and they will try to hack certain apps or computers or whatever, and if successful and they report it officially, they will get monetary value. So this young individual, this teen, essentially made close to about $1 million because they were using their skills with their technology to essentially help fix issues, and they were rewarded with money.
Big shout out to Potterhead. He's one of our followers. He's
yes.
one of our, he's one of those guys who follows us every show. He just said, my school is on spring break right now. Yeah. Enjoy it. Is it 1 week or 2 weeks? I mean, some schools are only doing a week, some are doing it 2.
It varies.
It varies. But, back on this, we were just at a high school in Vancouver last week presenting, and I had 2 kids come up to me and say, hey, we're white hat hackers. And we started talking, and they go, yeah, you know what? We found this flaw in PayPal. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, let me show you. And he was able to get in there to purchase things with a back door, even though he didn't have an account. It was kind of weird, right? So I said, have you brought this to the attention of PayPal? Because you should. Because if you identify a weakness like that, that's something that they would probably be really interested in. As long as you don't make it public, they may pay you for it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a really good example of that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a big business, pen testing, right? What's pen testing?
Penetration testing. So seeing if there's any vulnerabilities you can penetrate in a computer system to exploit weaknesses.
And, we just learned 2 weeks ago that there's 182 openings for people who want to get involved in programming and coding, and especially in the area of security and network security. Big.
Very much. I mean, if you look at our industry, our technological industry as it is, consumers, governments are demanding more security.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, people have been very lax.
Yeah,
Companies, businesses have been very lax with their security practices. And now even some countries, certain businesses can be sued, fined for not having proper security in place. So it is a requirement. It's unfortunate that the security wasn't put in the beginning, that we're playing catch up. But at least we're getting to the right stage.
Big industry right now. And for those, especially our preteens and teens that are interested in the field of coding and technology, what an opportunity for them, right? Because we can't fill the positions. I mean, when I was down in Nashville at the conference, they estimate by 2023, 2025, there'll be 3.5 million openings for coders in North America, right? Like that's a big number. And they can't fill those positions. And that's why, you know, STEAM, science, technology, electronics, arts and math are so important for kids right now, right? It really is. So what else we got going?
Oh, next subject. Oh, we have a comment from what was it?
Passive tax.
Hey, I went to Frank J. Nye. I was the red hoodie kid. Hey, I was at that school.
Yeah, you were.
You would have seen me there.
Yeah, did you have a good time at that school?
I had a wonderful time in that area. It was really good.
Yeah, for sure. And what else we got going on?
Next segment is we have Ontario ban cell phones in classrooms.
Oh God, when this one hit, it was amazing to see how many people, including some social media safety advocates like us and people, just lose it online going, you know, how dare they do this? I mean, there were even people calling out Premier Ford and the Ontario government for doing this. But guess what?
So, in part of our theme of the show, critical thinking and not reading the full context of what's being discussed.
Or as Beth likes to say, people don't read. They don't read. And that's how she says it. Read.
Yeah. People love reading headlines. Headline readers, I mean, headlines are good to get the gist of what's happening in the public sphere. But, I mean, there is always a tendency for now clickbait.
Yeah.
So to give a little context, here in Canada, the province of Ontario, they made a statement, and they were saying that they're working on a policy for all schools across the province of Ontario that cell phones will not be allowed in classrooms, or at least that's how the news articles reported it.
That's exactly right.
And most news articles, if you would read further down, maybe halfway through, near the end, at some point in many of these news articles, what was actually said by a representative of the Ontario Government of Education, here's partly what they said. Here's a quote.
Here it is.
The ban will not apply to cell phone use for educational, health, or medical purposes as support for those students with special needs.
So basically what they just said there is it's going to be teacher-led. Right? And as it should be. I mean, that's what we talk about, right? Is allowing technology in the classroom to be teacher-led and understanding that with policy, there should be rules. And if students are violating those rules, there should be reasonable consequences, right? I mean,
so here's what happened. And if you've been on social media and you've been following this controversy, whatever you want to call it, people were very concerned. People thought that what was being stated, at least what was reported in the news, was that cell phones would not be allowed to be brought onto school property or be allowed in the classroom for any purpose. Like it was like a full-out ban, and that's not technically what was announced.
I couldn't believe it when I saw some people in our industry actually calling out for it in the government for banning phones in the classroom when they didn't read the article.
We went on Twitter and we were responding to so many people going, you know what? That's not what was stated. What they said was this. So if a cell phone is going to be used in the classroom for educational purposes directed by the teacher, that would then be allowed.
Yeah, and we've written policy, model policy, and provided ideas on how schools can do that.
And we think that's best practice.
We do.
Now, certainly that cell phone use during educational time and just browsing social media.
Free range use for enjoyment in class.
If there's a lecture happening, someone's on their phone just doing whatever it is they're doing, that's different.
That's problematic.
We don't agree with that.
No.
And that's what this policy or the suggested policy is going to address.
Now, to be fair, I think some of the indignation that we saw was as a result of the Ontario government and what they're doing to education right now, right? Like, they came out, but just recently, again, they just, you know, there was a big fear because he had said, the premier there said that they were going to get rid or change the whole healthy human sexuality platform, where we were going to get away from talking about things like sexing and some of the other issues and basically go back to the dark ages, right, is what a lot of people thought. But guess what? Just today, there's been a number of announcements saying that no, they still are going to talk about that stuff, but they're going to give specific to ages and grades, right, where certain topics will be spoken at certain times, including everything around the LGBTQ plus community that he originally said, well, we're not going to be talking about that stuff. Well, guess what? Now they are going to be talking about it, but at specific. So they're, and you know what he's doing to classrooms and education in that province, like they just announced they're going to increase class size. Like, what are you doing, right? Like,
there's other issues happening. So there's a reason why people were angry about this announcement. Because they thought it was another
farce. Right? You just about used a bad word.
No,
right?
I didn't.
Okay, I would have, but I didn't, right? But there's no doubt that, you know, because of what him and his government are doing right now in the area of education, there was a lot of heat, right? And a lot of heat over this. But again, people need to, as Mom would say, read, right? Read.
Headline readers
do
create issues when it comes to spreading false information.
I think a better headline would have been Ontario government looking to prohibit the use of personal use of cell phones in class outside of learning.
Yeah, but that's not a good sounding headline.
No.
No one's going to read that.
It kind of goes back to the other topic, which is clickbait and metrics, right? Because as soon as people saw that headline, I guarantee you, teachers all over, click, 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 and driving people to that website, right?
Oh yeah.
So
but which kind of leads into some of the posts that people were making in regards to supporting these
bans.
And if you've been on social media, you may have seen this. You may have very well seen this. And I'll let Darren talk about this.
Yeah. This one was posted by a teacher reportedly in Alberta and then reposted by a professor. A university professor saying, hey, look at, you know, there was a teacher somewhere, we don't know where, what school, what country, what grade, how many people were in the class, who posted all these marks here are hits on how many times kids' phones in class were going off. So the teacher purportedly had asked the kids to turn up the volume, and every time it beeped, jing, zinged, to make sure you mark what platform. And I counted those all up, and there's about 1,200 to 1,300 check marks there. And when I looked at that, having us presented over 440,000 teens, I'm looking at that going, that's a lot. Like, that's way more than empirically or anecdotally that I have seen. And when I looked at like the Facebook clicks and checks on that one, it's like, something's not right. Well, guess what? It wasn't right? And so a lot of teachers saw this and they decided, well, let's do our own, right? And so, and let's give attribute, because the problem with the first one that you showed there, there is no attribution to it. Like, we don't know who it is, where it came from.
The time frame?
We don't know.
The ages? We don't know. And when it comes to posts like that, it gets difficult to figure out, like, what's the context here? And so we actually saw some educators do their own tests. And I think it's fantastic.
Right on, educators.
And one of the cool ones I want to bring to your attention is this one here. So here's an educator who...
Claudia Stout.
Great work what they did. So basically what they did is they redid this. And but what's important is that they gave attribution. They told us, if you look at the top on their post, they have there, they say 19 sophomores, which is an average, 80-minute time frame. That makes sense. And just notifications, and they did the same thing. And the numbers that popped up here, significantly different.
Yeah, and you know what? I've seen probably close to 20 or 30 of these have now done, and on average, it's averaging between 200 to 300 checks per class.
Yeah.
And Snapchat and DMs, you don't, unlike the other one that we saw where Facebook was like hundreds of them there. There's nothing there. Now, that's still 200 or 300 notifications in a class that can become disruptive to learning, right? For sure. So again, this is why ensuring that there's proper policy procedure put in place is so important so that we can minimize those distractions in class, which can be done because we have been to schools across Canada and the United States who have implemented a really good policy and have found a balance between using the technology in the classroom to learn, but yet stop the interactions or the disruptions. The schools where I see a lot of problems is where they have the free range movement, where anybody can, it's like the wild, wild west, right? And so as a result of that, you give young people and even adults a little bit of rope, they're gonna go crazy with it, right? So again, it's all about having a balance in place. And we have written a blog article on that very issue on a model policy based upon a lot of the schools that we've gone to where we have seen a really good use of this technology in a balanced way online.
Yeah. Right, we encourage tech use for educational purposes in the classroom, and it makes a lot of sense, right? To work technologies you're going to use in the future in your education, so you can learn how they work and use them effectively when you eventually leave school.
But I truly do empathize with teachers over the issue of the distractions in class, right? And I think a lot of that is because a lot of the schools just don't have any policy in place. They have no consequences to actions, you know. I've heard some teachers saying, like, we don't want to be policing this issue. Well, the reality is, unless the kids know that there's a consequence to action, then there's no impetus for change, right? So at the beginning, you're going to have to police it until it becomes a custom or a habit. And then once that happens and you create a good atmosphere, then good things will happen with the technology. And again, we've seen that in a number of schools that we've seen both sides, right? We've seen schools that have done a really good job with respect to implementing policy. We've seen schools who have got no policy. We've seen both extremes, and the secret is finding the one that's in the middle, right? For sure. Yeah. What's the next one we got?
Next topic is
kind of related to
this
schools.
one right here. This is an interesting topic. So basically, I mean, this is nothing new.
No.
Essentially, this article was talking about how some students will use Google Docs as a way to chat with their peers. So it doesn't seem, because if you see someone on a Google Doc, you might assume you're probably going to assume they're writing a document, they're writing a report, they're doing something that they're actually chatting about.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't surprise us. They've been doing this for years, but you know, this just hit the media this week that this is apparently big again. But the kids have been doing this all for. I mean, when I was in high school, many years ago, Brandon, we used to toss little notes to one another. Right in the prison system, they call them kites, where they tie them on and throw them on strings and toss them and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, people just want to communicate with one another, and kids, you know, again, they're very ingenious, right? Like they're good at thinking about stuff, and this is nothing new. Again, it could be somewhat disruptive in class, but this is a hard one to monitor for, right?
Yeah. Totally agree. So just nothing super significant, but I guess something we just want to bring up.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways,
just to be aware of.
Also, remember, the live show is here for a reason. That's why we do it live, because we love engaging live. Ask us questions, leave comments to any of the stories we're talking about, or even just in the chat, by all means. We would love to hear your side, what you think about bans on social media or cell phone bans in the classroom. We want to hear about those things.
Or even, what do you think about our set?
I
mean, look at Trolga there. Trolga's got the green hat on, little shamrock hair, Brett's in her hair, kind of thing. Brandon was wearing the green hat. He told me today he went out to Starbucks. He was wearing the green hat, his suspenders, with his box of Lucky Charms. You know, it's like, holy moly, right? So yeah. What do we got next?
Next news segment we want to talk about is this. This is another one of those IoT issues. I mean, becoming a routine for us to be talking about IoT related issues.
Isn't the Nest the home security system?
Yeah. So let me give you some context to this story.
Yeah, please.
So on February 4th, Google made this announcement. Google says, starting today, we're adding a feature to the Nest Secure. To do just that, the Google Assistant will be available on your Nest Guard, which is that thing on the right there. That Nest Guard, that little number pad, that's the Nest Guard.
Okay.
So they're saying that they're adding a new feature where they are going to add the Google Assistant into the Nest Guard. So Google owns Nest.
Right.
And Nest is, you know, those thermostats? That automatically change temperature based on your behavior? So Google owns Nest. And they made this announcement. Now,
so this is going to be kind of like a hybrid HomePod, right?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it's Google Assistant. So basically, this device with that number pad, you type it in before you leave the house, and it secures your house like an alarm system. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Google was thinking, okay, if we add Google Assistant into this, what that means is that if you leave the house, you can ask Google something like, I believe they said here in their statement, they said you can say to Google, "Hey Google, do I need an umbrella today?"
Oh.
And
Why not just look out the window?
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying. Old school, right?
Yeah. So, and Google will tell you need an, or what appointments do you have, that kind of stuff, right? So here was the concern.
Okay.
When this announcement was made, people went online and they were a little concerned.
I probably
Because here's why.
understand
Consumers, people who bought this product, they looked at the technical specifications,
Yep.
the tech specs,
Yep.
and then they looked at the packaging,
Yep.
they looked at the marketing material,
Yep.
and in no point at anywhere in the marketing material or the technical specifications did it state there was a microphone in that device.
Ooh, sneaky.
So Google responded quickly, and they said, "Oh, we apologize. We apologize. It was an oversight on our part. The microphone was not enabled. It wasn't recording anything. We had just we just put it in the device for future upgrades for consumers." And that makes sense, but many people were concerned because they bought this product thinking there wasn't a microphone in there, and now realizing there is.
It's a really good example. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness, right? I mean, good example, Google, right? So, I mean, it shouldn't surprise us that they're doing this. And again, you know, nothing is ever free. We keep talking about how people need to understand that everything we do online, and now with the IoT, that everything we do is, you know, public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and obviously becomes for sale, right?
I agree. And, I mean, the concern is some people may not have purchased this product if they had known there was a microphone in it, on or off, regardless. They may have not purchased it in the first place knowing that that was a feature in there.
But there are some other people, good example, if I'm building a new home, why get a HomePod and a Nest? Why not buy one that's integrated in both ways? And that would be a really good choice for those people who maybe want a home like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it.
Regardless of if it was it most likely was a communications misstep in that it's just an oversight, most likely.
Really?
Most likely.
It's Google.
It most likely was. Some engineer probably put it in there,
Yeah,
and they
that's
probably forgot to tell the marketing people, "Oh yeah, you should put that in there as a feature on the marketing."
Okay,
So,
I'll give you that.
You know what? Google's a big company.
I'll give you
Mistakes
that.
happen. All right, but I
I'll give
mean,
you that.
still, it's.
I'll give you that.
Anyways.
I'll give you that. What's the next one?
Next one, McAfee. McAfee, a security company. They make antivirus software, and one of their contributors to their blog, Gary, and they were just talking about how some free trial apps may use manipulative tactics in attempt to, after a trial finishes, get money recurrently in unethical ways.
Right.
So in the screenshot here, you will see that there is
down the
two
below
apps.
with the little red box.
Yeah, there are two apps, and they highlighted two parts. So this was a free trial microphone recorder, and there was a free trial file compressor zip file. Make big files smaller. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Free trial. After the free trial, you could purchase the full version for £184.99 a month.
Let's figure what's that in American. Let's figure that out. Hold on. I'm going to ask my Siri assistant. So here we go. Hey Siri, what's 148 pounds in American dollars? Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Siri's gone to sleep right now. I can't believe it. How did that happen? Hey Siri, what's 148 pounds in American dollars? What's going on? Let's try Brandon's.
All right. Hey Siri, what's 184 pounds in US dollars?
184 British pounds is 244 US dollars and 69 cents.
That's a lot of money.
How come yours worked and mine didn't?
I don't know.
I think Mon's been playing with my phone again.
That's actually so. Basically, $244 a month for a for a voice recorder app. Okay, that's a little bit absurd. I mean, most phones come with a recorder for free anyways. So I mean, it's just bringing to people's attention that, you know what, those in-app purchases, just be careful, because if you have a credit card associated to your account and you click on the yes, I want to upgrade, thinking maybe it's only $184 a year or one-time purchase, not realizing it's per month.
Yeah.
So it's being cognizant of those in-app purchases.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, great question from Caden Brunel Hood. Just tuned in, so I don't know if this has been covered already, but on the note of Nest's undeclared microphone, do you have any input on the privacy concerns currently surrounding Huawei devices? Huawei.
Yeah, we don't have it covered because there isn't any solid evidence yet to really make any claim. So to give context, great question, by the way. So Huawei is a Chinese-run tech company. They're kind of like the Chinese version of like Apple or Microsoft. And Huawei makes fantastic devices. Like some of the strongest smartphones out there are made by Huawei. They're a huge competitor to Apple. And one of the concerning aspects with this company is because they have really close ties to the Chinese government.
They are the Chinese government.
Supposedly. There's privacy concerns that if people around the world are purchasing Huawei devices, so Huawei smartphones, this is an iPhone, but if people are using a device run by a Chinese company, what's stopping the company from putting in malware, spying things to spy? Because it's no secret that the Chinese government does spy and hack to spy. So one of the big concerns is more so for governments. So Canada, for example, Canada has some of our telecommunications, some of our really big like cell phone providers, all those people, some of them use Huawei products. And the concerning part here is if using those products, could there be a higher chance of being hacked?
Yeah, or intellectual property theft, which the Chinese are huge on right now. I mean, the U.S. is in a major trade war over that very issue, right? And I mean, that's what people sometimes forget about, you know, Big Brother and state that are. Sometimes it's not just for the purposes of evil things. When I say evil, I mean like warlike things. But you know, intellectual property issues are huge. Like me personally, Brandon's probably a little less than me, but I wouldn't buy a Huawei product. Like I considering who that company is and who their ties are. I mean, you're right. They make good products. They really do. But you know what? There are other products out there. Now, what's to say that Apple or Google aren't doing the same thing, right? Like, I mean,
I think the difference because they have a stronger tie to North American governments, which have different policies and how they supposedly
look at how China's gone to a full surveillance society now, right? Like that's scary. That's George Orwellian in nature, right? It really is, and that concerns me. And so their products, me personally, I wouldn't recommend them for that very reason. But you know, don't get me wrong. I know they make a good product and stuff, but
the information that you provide on your devices. It's important of who that information goes to, which actually does kind of tie in very nicely into our last news segment for the show.
Right.
You may have seen this in news media. TikTok, getting a very prominent app. I watch TikToks, and I think some of them are fantastic.
They're great.
Great. TikTok was fined by the U.S. government for collecting information on children under the age of 13.
5.7 million. I mean, this rings to the Syrah app last year, right? Remember that? Where it was disclosed that once you downloaded it on the phone, Syrah downloaded all your contact information, right? Because that's how they make their money. So, I mean, nothing is ever free.
I agree. So, in the U.S., there's a law. It's called COPPA.
Which stands for?
It's the
Child Online
Protection Act.
Yeah.
And what this says is that if you're a tech company or any company, online. You cannot be collecting personal identifiable information, so emails, first names, last names, birth dates, that kind of stuff.
And we have civil law here in Canada.
Yeah, we do.
Right, we do.
You cannot be collecting that type of stuff from individuals under the age of 13. If it does happen, you have to kind of filter it out. You can't be recording that. So TikTok didn't do any filtering, didn't do any controls, any of that kind of stuff. So basically, it was found out. They were fined because of that, which is actually really good for.
I think given everything that's gone on with, the U.S. election, Cambridge Analytics, what we've seen going on with Google and Apple, I think we're starting to see a lot more external pressure being put on these organizations and oversight. Because like it or not, the only thing that makes any sense to them to affect change, especially when it comes to protecting our privacy, is money.
Yeah.
Right? And so I really like the fact that we're now getting so much more outside oversight on these big companies to ensure that, because they're collecting a ton of our data, like our digital dossiers based upon what it is that we do online is significant and what people can learn. So, it's so important that these companies start disclosing what they're doing and how they're housing this information. And if they don't do it within the bounds of the law, there should be a consequence, right? $5.7 million when you look at TikTok is probably a drop in the bucket to them monetarily.
Well, now that they have ads on some of their videos, I mean, certainly there's money being made there somehow. So
for sure.
Certainly good from the federal regulators in the U.S. for
sure.
identifying this and going through and following through with that.
And here
law.
in Canada, I think we have some of the best privacy watchdogs in the world, right? Yeah. Us and Great Britain and even Australia, the Commonwealth countries. We've got some really good watchdogs on our privacy. Again, I love technology, but with convenience comes vulnerability, especially to our private information. And so we need to be really, really, really hawkish on this issue. We really do, right? And especially younger kids. And this is something that, part of digital literacy as well, as to get kids to understand more about how important our private information is and how we should be protecting it and not making it all available to everybody and what some of the consequences are of it, right? So, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, it's giveaway draw time.
It brings us to the end of the show, where basically it is the giveaway draw time, where pretty much we have every show we will do a giveaway with some White House swag.
That was great fireworks. Can you do that again? I haven't said it wrong.
We do it. We go back every single show. We're not going to do that again on the show.
Okay.
One time for the show.
But it's St. Patrick's Day, right? Well, I'm just saying. It's like a squirrel for me. Squirrel.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
So this month, we asked all of you on Facebook and Instagram to respond to this question, and if you did so, you'd be entered in for the draw. Yeah. So the question was, what was something you learned from us online, on social media, or if you attended one of our presentations?
Yeah, good question.
Good question. Got a lot of good responses.
We did.
Now, Facebook, if you follow the show and you're a regular viewer, you probably understand that Facebook, we don't get a lot of replies on.
Doesn't surprise me per se.
It doesn't surprise, but
although we're going to be moving to Facebook Live during the summer, right?
Yeah,
we're going to draw that into the.
Yeah, we're going to start doing Facebook Lives in a little bit. I know we kind of announced last show that we were going to start doing it.
But we've been so busy.
It takes a lot of time to set something up for a new platform. So we will be doing Facebook Lives. We're getting that in the works.
We are. It's we've been so busy with traveling and teaching, which we love. We just love it, right? But it kind of takes away from a couple of the other things. But for sure, Facebook Live is coming. But so before you draw the name on Facebook, can I give the drum roll? Right.
We will be taking. So I think what we decided is until we start doing the Facebook Lives, we're not going to be doing the draw anymore for Facebook.
But the Instagram, we're still going to be doing
Instagram. Instagram, we have probably over close to 100 responses on Instagram.
And only 3 on Facebook.
We only have three, and apparently one of these people have already won before.
Ooh,
so
really?
If they win again, by all means. So one.
Hey, Candace, did the person who won in Facebook, did they also enter in the Instagram? Just listening for. We don't think so. Oh, okay. Okay. So,
all right. So we are going to pull a name, and the winner is Heather Lauren, and they said, if you, and the prompt was again, what was something you learned from us? And the response was, if you type it, it's permanent.
Woohoo! There's our message: public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and it's all for sale, right? It's all for sale. So.
Good. Someone had mentioned, I see someone's mentioned, Luke had mentioned, how do I participate in the giveaways? Here's how you participate. Essentially, once a month, about a week prior to the show, we will post.
Candace does, right?
Candace, our social media coordinator, posts on social media. We'll be on Instagram.
Shout out to Candace. Hey, Candace. Hey,
She's
what's up?
she's in the room monitoring all the social media.
And the chat, and she's whispering in our ears and trying not to laugh at some of the things she says to me.
So we'll be, we'll give a prompt. So we'll ask you a question on Instagram. It'll be whatever we come up with after the show. And then you just comment on that post, and we'll take the name and what you said, and we'll enter you in for the draw. Now for Instagram.
Your Instagram?
There are a lot of Instagram entries.
Okay, I'm going to do the drum roll. Ready?
All right, here we go. And we got.
The winner is.
The person is Gavin Ferrix.
Woo!
And they said, I learned I should live my life.
I'm not worthy.
That's a
I'm
good
not
one.
worthy.
Oh, wow.
Good
Yeah.
answer. Good
That,
answer.
I'm glad you learned that. I mean, certainly, I mean, that's what we say, right? I mean, we want everyone to go online, have fun, do the best things that you can do, and just be yourself. And, you know, oftentimes, if you do that, you will even be rewarded for the great things.
As long as you're being a good digital citizen.
Precisely.
That's what it's all about.
So we will contact those winners directly after the show to figure out how to get the White Hatter swag to you.
Good show, Brandon. Some deep discussions, right?
You know what? Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of content, but there was a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's only usually we have a lot more stories to talk about, but those are very quick little hits.
Yeah.
These stories, the theme I think this show was.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of liked it a little bit, right? I kind of liked every so often doing shows like this where maybe we dig a little deeper into some of these issues, right?
Yeah.
I do believe that, and because I think it has a lot to offer. When's our next show?
Next show, which some people in the comments are actually asking when is the next show, and we have it on the calendar. So the next
Omega
show,
Reaper, here you go. Here's the answer to your question.
The next show will
right
be
there.
on April 14th, same time, same place.
Same bat channel.
Yes.
Hey, but we won't have the same kind of green thing going on, right?
No. We'll have some different things for the springtime. We have some ideas already set in mind. So again,
Candace
we
is
always
whispering in my ear already with some of the things that she's.
Candace, our social media coordinator, is the one who does all the sets. So like we say, if we get more popular, we are more willing to start doing every other week, maybe even weekly.
I want to bring in some guests. I want to bring in some guests. That'd be kind of cool.
That would
too.
be great.
Yeah,
Again, our goal. I mean, we've only been doing this for about maybe 4 months now.
Yeah.
4 or 5 months, and we've seen slight growth. Yeah. But we're really excited to, be having all of you work with us, asking us your questions and what you want to see from us once a month. Hopefully, once a week.
It's like anything else. You little baby steps, right? And you crawl to baby steps to walk to run, right? And that's the whole goal of what it is that we're doing as a company. Is we want to continue to move ahead and doing what it is we're doing, and we love the fact that preteens and teens are playing such an important role in what it is that we're doing and how we're developing as a company. Right? Like it really is. So really,
I think it's really. Oh, we have one more comment. I have a Potterhead, one of our regular viewers. When will you?
He actually won one.
Yeah, they actually won. They actually won one of our giveaways because they were on.
Yeah. Hey, and I hear, Life of Potter, you're kind of wearing our swag today. I understand. Yeah, you're kind of wearing our swag.
They asked a question. When will you do the Facebook Live show? So our plans are. We originally had plans of doing one after the show today, but we've been, like I said, we've been so busy. We haven't had time to actually prep for it because there's a lot of work that kind of goes into.
Yeah, people don't know that it's more than just plug and play, right?
I make it as easy as we can, but
let's be honest though, Brandon really pays a lot of attention to this stuff. Me, I'm just kind of a plug and play guy, but he's all about the detail.
Yes.
I didn't say that.
In short, after we get a little slower, so after schools come to an end, is when we're going to start producing more live shows.
Yeah.
So
more video too, right?
More
You're
video
gonna
as
be
well.
doing some video
We're gonna.
stuff.
I have a lot of plans starting in the summertime to begin doing more videos, including live shows. So you can we'll make an announcement of when we're going to be doing the Facebook Lives. But I would say probably not for a couple months. But check on Facebook, check on all the other social media, and we'll make the announcement.
Yeah, we'll flood them. Candace will flood our social media platforms, giving lots of heads up on that, right? Yeah. For sure. So, but again, really good discussion today. I really enjoyed some of the deeper discussions and your thoughts on some of these issues. Yeah. And you know, I love the fact that we can banter back and forth sometimes on these issues, like Huawei. Right, now that I can pronounce it correctly. Like, ooh, I still can't understand why Hey Siri didn't work, right? Like, I think Mom was playing with my phone. I know, it worked before the show, right?
I don't know what you did.
No, I think it was Beth.
You probably.
Hey, did I ever tell you, like, my old phone, I would sit in my chair and I would fall asleep. And I had a lock and Mom didn't know what the lock was. Yeah. And she needed something. So she actually lifted my hand while I was sleeping and put my thumbprint on the thumbprint. She got into the phone. Yeah. Like, unbelievable.
I'm glad now that generally speaking, you have to have your eyes open to do the face unlock. Yeah. Because you can just imagine someone sleeping and just do the same thing, right?
I know, for sure.
It's even less obtrusive.
Well, I'm waiting for Mom to go like this with my eyes while I'm sleeping, because I probably won't even wake up because I'm such a sound sleeper. Yeah. But anyways, we're a little off topic.
It is 2:00, and that's the end of the show.
We had a great time, ladies and gentlemen, and people who are following us and stuff. So again, thank you very much. It's this show is all about you, right?
It is.
It really is. Yeah. So on behalf of myself, Darren,
Brandon, and Candace in the booth, managing all the comments and social media,
and the rest of the White Hatter team that are out there, thank you. Have a great rest of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your spring break for all the students that are listening to us right now, right? Have a good spring break.
We'll see you.
Well, bye.